Good afternoon, folks. How is everybody doing today? I hope you're doing well. I am doing okay. I forgot to do the flip on this beer because it's a nitro beer. So you have to turn it upside down 3 times and stick your right leg out, stick your right leg in, stick your right leg out, shake it all about. Don't forget to stick a pin in a voodoo doll. I don't need that many instructions on how to pour a fucking beer, but that is my favorite part about nitros, is that cascade. I love that. I think that is so fucking cool. It is not funny. On the other hand, I just got done reviewing this beer and it's not particularly outstanding, so for what it's worth. Anyway, the reason we're doing this beer is because I put a video up last week, relatively recently. I don't even know when the hell it was. I've lost track of days. But fellow's name is Doug Miller, so I'm assuming it's a male. He would seem to be in my generational bracket. Mr. Miller, this is to you, unless you're Ms. Miller now, and then it's still to you, but he's my age, dude. We didn't play that game growing up. So I'm going to assume that Mr. Miller is Mr. Miller. The video was the one on Maine doing ranked choice voting, and what ranked choice voting basically came out to be is you get your ballot and you pick your choices. And the way it works, which is how this is set up, and it's just another attempt at stealing the election through stupidity, because this is way overcomplicated, is I don't like Trump, so I'm going to vote for Biden. Okay. And then if Biden doesn't win, my second choice vote is going to be for anybody but Trump. Their state Supreme Court approved this. And that's where we're at. We're at activist judges today. So Mr. Miller had commented, judges, do judges next. Do the judges. I believe what he was talking about wasn't the Supreme Court, but instead the activist judges shit we've had to put up with lately. And it's been horrible. You've seen how much stuff. The wall got blocked. Repealing DACA got blocked. It's a fucking executive order. Trump has every right to repeal the executive order. Nope. Activist judges jump in. So, take this back a step. When a judge receives their place on the bench, they swear an oath. Part of that oath is about impartiality. So the judge being the final arbiter for the most part, because most cases have no need to go to trial, there's just no need for it. The judge is supposed to impartially examine the evidence presented by both sides and make their ruling. That's their job description. Impartially examine the evidence, make your ruling, which means your mafeelies and your political party and your doesn't fucking matter. You look at the evidence and make a ruling, but we don't have that anymore. Now, I will say, people are going to say, well, it was Obama judges. You would be sorely mistaken, folks. As much as I dislike Barry, I am not a fan. I wasn't a fan when he came in because I grew up in New York City. I could recognize somebody who's blowing smoke up my ass and looking to fuck me and put a knife in my back from a good half a block away, because if you don't get old. Barry was that kind of fucking snake oil salesman, shyster piece of shit. But nobody else saw it because he was black and cool and he was smooth. And his husband, Big Mike, allegedly not going there. So the Ninth Circuit, for the longest time, has just been the absolute liberal bastion of anybody wants to get something done and it's not liberal enough, we say no. Now, where I was going originally is, this started before. Reagan came in, Reagan got 4 SCOTUS appointments. 3 judges, and he lifted an associate judge up to the bench, and I hope Trump smashes that record. But, neither here nor there. Clinton, Bush, and Obama were your last 3 presidents. Okay, so that's 8, 12, 24 years. Trump has gotten through a bunch of appointments because of Mitch McConnell, who I'm not a super huge fan of. But Harry Reid got rid of the nuclear option, and so he left the door wide open for Mitch McConnell to ram Trump's people through, which is a good thing. Trump actually turned the Ninth Circuit into a somewhat more centrist, maybe? Centrist court, but neither here nor there. We see them all the time. St. Louis. Let's take St. Louis. Ken and Karen are defending their property. They broke the gate, came into a gated community. They were peacefully protesting by threatening people, saying, I'm going to take over your house, I'm going to eat your dinner, I'm going to fuck your dog, and whatever the hell else they said. Ken comes out with his AR. Karen comes out with her prop pistol that she doesn't know how to hold, and she's scarier than he is with a fucking AR, with a dummy gun. Neither here nor there. Everybody who looked at any of that footage said, I don't see what they did wrong. The DA did. Because the DA said, Black Lives Matter. They can do whatever they want as long as it's a peaceful protest. No, you can't fucking trespass. You can't threaten people. Doesn't matter. She's an activist appointee. Now, the judge above her that should have fucking stepped on her head and said, what the fuck are you doing? Didn't. Now, I don't know if the judge above her is a Barry appointee or a W appointee or a Clinton appointee. It doesn't matter. They're there. Okay? The absolute worst case is Kyle Gardner in Kenosha. I mean, the fucking tragedy that surrounds this guy's story is just brutal. There's an altercation at his bar. These guys are pushing around his dad. He goes out. Now, these guys are peaceful protesters once again. Okay. They're pushing around his dad. This guy's an ex-Marine. He's taken shit from no one. He's been blown up a couple of times. He has traumatic brain injury from his time in the sandbox. But he goes out there and he literally lets these guys know, we're not putting up with any of your shit. Look, I'm armed. You need to leave. Guys attack him anyway. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. He's on the floor. He fires a couple of shots, but he doesn't actually kill anybody, which I find really hard to believe, especially from a combat Marine. Usually those guys are well trained, but I wasn't there. I don't know what fucking happened. I don't know how shit went sideways. Those 2 guys run away because they don't want to get shot. Go figure. And then a third individual who was dumber than a bag of donkey dicks jumps on Jake's back, puts him in a chokehold. He's trying to choke him out. So Mr. Gardner takes his pistol, puts it up over his left shoulder, fires one down into the guy, breaks his clavicle, separates his subclavian, goes into his chest cavity. I did not get to see a coroner's report, so I don't know what the fuck else had happened, but you have lungs and a heart and lots of blood vessels in there. Anyway, the fellow who jumped on his back just happened to be black. And he died. Local PD in Omaha do the investigation. Everybody looks at it and says, clean shoot, self-defense, 100%, not a problem. You're free to go, sir. Black Lives Matter has a problem with this, so they go to the feds. Because now this is a hate crime, because the guy that got killed, the peaceful protester who was trying to choke him out, we never explained why that's a peaceful protest, by the way. He was a black guy, and so it's a hate crime. Judge. And same thing Kamala Harris was. AG, I think. I want to say AG. Judge and Attorney General on a federal level levy charges against this guy. Murder, terrorism, threatening. He loses his house. He loses his bar. Nobody will do any business with him anymore because this guy is fucked. Now, he's already got traumatic brain injury from serving his country. And the activist judge and the activist DA or AG, whoever the fuck it was, decide they're going to make an example out of this guy because Black Lives Matter and his right to self-defense doesn't. Kyle Rittenhouse in Kenosha. Right? Kid goes in early, helps him clean graffiti. Goes to do his job as a lifeguard at the pool. After going to work at the pool, one of his friends says, hey, this guy downtown wants to make sure his store doesn't get looted. You want to come hang with us? He goes, sure, I'm a paramedic. This way, if anybody gets hurt, I can render aid. And this film of him rendering aid to the fucking idiots. Long story short, you've seen the film. He winds up shooting 3 people. Every instance is clearly self-defense. The problem is, Kyle don't live in Kenosha. So the first thing they tried to nail him on was, well, he brought a weapon across state lines. He did not. The weapon wasn't his. It was one of his friends who lives there. Well, he was actively out there looking to shoot people. And he wasn't. Literally said, sure, I'll show up. And then if anything goes sideways, I'm a paramedic, I'm trained, I can render aid, which he did. Well, now they want to extradite him from Chicago to Wisconsin. From what I understand, he lives like 20 minutes away from Kenosha. We're not talking a really big distance. But it seems like what they want in Kenosha is to once again make an example of this kid. Every piece of footage shows these were all clear defense shootings. Every piece of footage. And this kid should be fucking getting ready to make Nick Sandman look like a fucking beggar on a street corner. Because there was so much shit about him being a terrorist and a fucking horrible human being. And he just wanted to hunt people. Sue them all into the fucking ground. But that's not the problem. The problem is we're loaded with judges who don't take their responsibility seriously. And they don't take their responsibility seriously because we have politicians who don't take their responsibility seriously. And we have no one enforcing these people that routinely shit on their oaths and the Constitution. Because, oh, well, we can't do that. I'm sure it was just a mistake. They didn't mean it. You know what? Let's let it go this time. Yeah, I am sick of all that shit. Everything a judge does has to be in record. It has to be recorded. It has to go in the books. And what we really need to do, and it's just my opinion, you can take it for what it's worth, aside from removing these people's tags and titles. Now, judges are usually lawyers. I don't think you get to be a judge without being a lawyer first. But the fuck do I know? I'm an x-ray guy. Well, much like Barry and Big Mike and Hillary and her supposed husband fucking Slick Willie, didn't those guys all have to turn in their tags? Weren't they requested to turn them in before they were removed? Fuck that. We get rid of that shit tomorrow. Nope. Your tags are pulled. You shall no longer practice law anywhere in this country since you are obviously incapable of handling the responsibilities of the office. Then, and this is my personal favorite, because with these people, humanity means nothing. They lack empathy. We are back to the socio and psychopaths again. It's how you get to these positions. That's why normal people don't do them. You know the expression stealing candy from a baby? These people would just steal the baby and the candy and the carriage because they don't care. Then they throw the baby and the carriage in the river just to keep the candy, to keep the kid quiet. That type of people, allegedly. I'm not even going to go into child trafficking because we all know what's going on there. Wait till that shit fucking ends. The people who do these jobs are horrible human beings. They have no empathy. They have no humanity. It's been bred out of them. They attain these positions, and they never get punished because birds of a feather flock together. Remember, most of your elected officials are lawyers, congressmen and senators. It's abnormal for them not to be. This is a problem. This also needs to be addressed. Jefferson actually did address this once. We're at, 16 minutes? I'll wrap this up now. Jefferson actually addressed this. It was the original 13th Amendment, I want to say, and a couple of years back they found a couple of copies because at one point every state got issued a handwritten copy. This was before we had computers and shit. And Jefferson pushed through an amendment, and I want to say it was the original 13th or 14th, that no lawyer will serve in any house of government outside of the judicial, because he saw this coming. And his quote on it was, "People who argue the law should not write the law." It is what it is, folks. These people need to be held accountable. That's all I can say. And when I say held accountable, I mean right after they have their tags and their livelihood removed so that the next best job they can get is suck a dick for crack money or washing fucking dishes. They should be over civil suits. These people should be fucking gutted as an example to the next set that come along. Because I am done with this, you go into timeout, Timmy, and if I catch you setting the cat on fire one more time, that's where we're fucking at. Anyway, Mr. Miller, I hope this met your high expectations. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you was smart enough to crack a cold one before you crack this video open, because it's one of my videos. It usually helps if you're drinking. It helps when I'm drinking. So, folks, just remember, everybody's up for re-election this year. 435 in the House, 30 in the Senate. And the President, normally I would say vote them all out, but at this point, who are you going to replace fucking Trump with? And you know what? He hasn't done a bad job. Really hasn't. And I didn't vote for him. I voted for Rick Sanchez. That's right. Wubba lubba dub dub. But the rest of them, I want to take a really, really good look at these people. You ever wonder why everybody hates Rand Paul so much? He's a fucking doctor, not a lawyer. Just saying. You don't need to be a lawyer to be a legislator. I'll catch you on the next one. Skull.